And welcome back to the Karmic Carnival. This is actually going to be a new reading format for me. I'm going to do a week-long reading for all signs. I'm noticing a lot of interesting energy as we are all having our own version of the funhouse mirrors that you might see in like a Halloween carnival of sorts. And if you, I've got three cards from four decks and my astrology app out because I know that there are a fair amount of you that are really feeling called for some direction and I don't know, maybe some explanation. Sometimes I know that these readings can offer that, and other times it's just nice to know what is coming ahead. Now, right now with the we have Mercury in Scorpio retrograde. We have Pluto coming out of retrograde, and by the 21st we are heading into Scorpio season. Well, we're already being led by Scorpion energy. And Scorpio is definitely the Halloween sign. I mean, Halloween is in the constellation of Scorpio too. So there's a bit of the divine madness going on. And if you have been doing your shadow work and you've surrounded yourself by with your soul tribe and beings that are mostly love and light, then you're probably, I mean, I would say enjoying the carnival, like you're ooh spooky and you might go through the funhouse mirrors and go, ha, look at that. I used to look at myself like that. Like, oh, I used to be controlling. I used to be really overweight. I used to be really reactive. I used to be easily triggered and easily manipulated because I was easily triggered. And now look at me, like this is kind of fun, Look how goofy I look in this mirror. And if you haven't been doing that stuff, I don't envy the position you're in because we've all been through this. I mean, we all go through it most every year, but there are power years for sure, and 2020 is one of them. So if you find that you're feeling anxious, out of sorts, that you're not sure what's going on, if you feel like you are in this energy of like fight me and also like run away, or maybe even an energy of like I feel like I'm being forced to fight and I don't want to fight. I want to run. I want to get away or I want to do a cold cutoff, which is also a fairly scorpionic thing too. And I have some Scorpio placements. I could speak to that to a degree. Sometimes you want to go for a cold cutoff rather than working something out. And sometimes you want to have extra strong boundaries and other times you want to just drop them all and say, I just forget about it all. Just do whatever you want, you know. But if you're going through a time of turbulence, it is likely that you are in the fun house in the mirror section, and what you're seeing, especially in other people around you, is distortions of your own reflection. Like if you've not been doing your shadow work, and what Spirit is doing is showing us what we look like, and if we enjoy the reflection, it's not a big deal. If we can laugh at ourselves and say, sorry about that, a little Mercury retrograde distractions and also Uranus retrograde also. Those two together, man, they definitely create the funhouse mirrors themselves. Um, in any case, if you like who you are, and if you're not really doing anything wrong and you know it, then it's comfortable enough to walk through it and enjoy it, or to go through the corn maze and to know that even if you get turned around, you'll eventually find your way out, you know. Just having faith in that. But if you've had a hard time with that, if you still have challenges with anxious attachment or codependence or addictions or what's the word, individuation or self actualization, then the images that you see in the mirror are scary. And Spirit in particular, I'm noticing collectively, is putting a lot of us, for those of us that have been working on this stuff, we're kind of being tested in the sense of our commitment to having faith in Spirit and to being very hands off, to being very like, I love you, and I see that you need to go through this, or I love you and I'm here and I'm going to hold this boundary because it is a form of love and it is good. And we're also being tested to recognize that even if we're being misrepresented, even if others are suggesting that our healthy behaviors are unhealthy or controlling or things like that, to recognize that they are in the funhouse mirrors, they are in their own distortions, and that it's not something that you need to argue or fight. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to. It's kind of the test of emotional security. Like when you feel when you recognize who you are and you live authentically, there's no reason to explain or defend yourself. The truth needs no defense. But if you're in the funhouse, it may feel like you've got everybody on your back and in your front and blocking your path and pulling you back, and friends may seem like enemies or at least frenemies. You might have, if you already have anxiety challenges, those might come out even more. um, and if you've been inauthentic, well, this is a really hard time to be inauthentic with all this energy that we have going on in Scorpio. All that energy in particular goes very, very deep. Now, I wanted to look just briefly at the calendar that we have here. So, today is the 18th, 10/18, which, think about that. That's the Wheel of Fortune, or divine timing, and the moon card right there, plus the Emperor. So we're probably going to see a fair amount of um, strange changeovers, like from the 10/10 energy, and then also from the Libra new moon, which is kind of Justice Gate. Like there's a lot of things coming up right now that have to do with obligations and legal situations. It could be that you're roommating with somebody that you are dependent on in some way, maybe financially, emotionally, or you co-parent with them, or some sort of thing like that. Or it could be that there's been back and forth about like going to court for, like, let's say, breaking leases, or creating custody agreements or things like that. Like there's a lot of court energy, which it is technically Libra season. It's very interesting that we have so much Scorpio energy right now, and ironically, because of all the Scorpio energy, we're going to see those or those planets retrograde back into Libra energy as we go into Scorpio territory, which shall be an interesting thing to happen. Now, with that energy in there, we see Scorpio taking us really, really deep into injustices and the imbalance in our lives and the ways that we are or are not standing in our integrity. And we're going to, so from today being 10/18, this is going to the 25th. So the 21st is Samhain, which is the witch's new year, and it's considered to be when the time between veils and dimensions is the thinnest. So we are likely to see, um, well, it's like anything else. We're likely to see an amplification of what is already there. If you have not been facing a lot of insecurities, or have been allowing labels to give excuses for inappropriate behavior, or you've been leaning too much on others, things like that, that all of that, first of all, the crutches are being removed. Things that we've used as a comfort to allow us to continue unhealthy behaviors are crumbling. And I from what spirit tells me, that's intentional, because we need that right now, especially like collectively we need that. And if you've otherwise been working on being more independent and emotionally secure and things like that, like you might still, the work is never fully done, but it's much more likely that you're going to find things a lot less unstable, other than those around you who are still working on that stuff. And this is an interesting time to see the kind of like if you were standing on the other side of the funhouse mirrors, watching the people that you know walking through them almost in slow motion, like engaging with each distorted reflection of themselves. And they might even reach out to you and try to do that. Or, if you're in that energy, and like, or if we switch in that energy, we might try to reach out to somebody that has typically been our comfort or our shoulder to lean on, and find that they're not there. And this is a good test of, are you enjoying the funhouse or are you not? Because if you are more spun out, by not having that assistance, then it is likely that you got some, this is, use this time to your benefit. And if you are comfortable counseling yourself, whether journaling or voice noting or working or doing whatever, if you're comfortable with that and it really doesn't, like, you might like to have a little extra support, but you're okay without it, then you're probably doing good. You're already doing enough. Just, go along with it. Um, Either way, there's definitely this energy of anybody that we have been, I don't know, like in the closest proximity to, kind of, you are who you hang out with. So the people that you spent the most time in conversation with and the most time in physical interaction with, like, if those dynamics have been unhealthy, they are showing even more now, especially because going through quarantine has really removed a lot of the ways that people were formerly able to escape unhealthy dynamics and kind of allow codependent situations to continue and things like that. And there's not as many resources. The economy is in a really crappy place, and because of the way that things have gone, especially with vaccines coming up, there could be yet another sort of quarantine coming. It really depends. We don't know. But we're seeing a lot of that Pluto Saturn energy where people are fighting amongst each other about, masks and political debates and private arena relationships, and really the irony is kind of trying to avoid intimacy, commitment, accountability, shadow work, things like that. And it's not avoidable. We've all been put in the funhouse. You can either sit there and stare at the distorted images and get mad about them, or you could say, yeah, yeah, I own some of that. I need to work on that. Let's move forward on that, right? Or, you know what? I recognize that I am stuck for the moment with this person or with this problem or in this place, and that the only way to be able to feel better is to work on what inside me has me in the situation with this person. Like, stop looking for external sources of blame and really, don't beat yourself up, but look at where is this originating from, because we manifest people into our vibration that are a match for our vibration. So if we're around people that are triggering us and testing us and constantly, like, playing various different crazy making games, it's likely that we are too. And the moment that we can admit that and look for it and acknowledge it, we start to remove the power from it in the first place. And Scorpio and Libra both have a lot to do with power dynamics, and the cards that I've laid out seem to go with that too. Now, within this week, we're still going to be in Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. That's going to change over on November 2nd to 3rd ish, but watch out for that because that's when the elections are. We've got, let's see, Venus is currently in Virgo. So there's a lot of neuroticism going on, especially in relationships or with anybody that we've had any sort of intimate dynamics with. Probably a lot of heightened insecurity, especially that earthy mixture muddled in with all of the Scorpio energy, which is very deep and very emotional. Like, this is deep mother, father, inner child wounds and wounds from relationships that we've had up to this point. Um, we still have Neptune in Pisces. So the irony of that is that, and especially with Pluto still in retrograde, is that we actually have less distortion. So it's kind of, it's creating more Phoenix moments because we're really seeing the reality of ourselves, our own behavior, how we interact with others, how we think about ourselves. And if if what we see in the funhouse mirrors is not what we want to see or how we want to feel about ourselves, it's mixing in with Mars retrograde in Aries, which is in its own sign, to create this kind of this desire to fight against every image, to fight against everyone around us, friend or foe. It doesn't really matter. Just to try to fight it, to avoid the ego death, because the ego has been in control for a long time, and it is very good at convincing us to listen to our instincts rather than our intuition. And I mean, it's not fun. And even for those of you that have done your shadow work, you're probably noticing a bit of that feistiness too, or you may find yourself rebounding, um, how do you say it, like rebounding from others who are feeling triggered, and really just kind of like go hermit. Go hermit. Like the Scorpio time is a good time for personal introspection and just saying, you know what, I'm not gonna fight about that right now, or I love you and I'm gonna help you by not helping you. And that sort of thing. We also have Chiron still in Aries and still retrograde, which is the wounded healer in us all too. And because it's in Aries and we have Mars in Aries retrograde too, there's an emphasis on kind of divine masculine in reverse. So that the masculinity, the energy within all of us in reverse in that, and really learning about how action can be used inappropriately, whether that's like verbally or whether it's like trying to force a fight that doesn't need to happen, whether it's, it really, especially with Venus and Virgo, can highlight control issues, and thankfully, though, none of it is going to last forever. We do have all of those elements continuing on through this next week. So the only thing that's changing over is the moon and the sun. Now, interestingly enough, for today and tomorrow, we have the moon in Scorpio too. So we've got this like triple Scorpio energy going on right now. And yesterday started, the new moon started in Scorpio. So you probably were already seeing some of this come in. And Scorpio is the intensity, the passion, the will to dive deep. Like you'd rather fight it out than let the light die without raging against it, for lack of a better way to put it. Um, and if you feel controlled, you're definitely going to like lash out at anybody that you feel like is trying to control you or trying to get in your way or anything like that. And it doesn't even have to be that they are, just the perception that they are, it, is bringing in that Scorpio attack. And a lot of that too, like don't be so hard on yourself if you are feeling influenced by all this Scorpio energy, because it is very likely, especially with so much Scorpio energy, that your own shadows and reactivity are actually going to help remove the masks of those around you and show you, really who supports you, who gives you grace, who has your back, who is actually trying to control you, if anybody is, and what are your own control issues, what are you running from, like this is a very revealing, and Scorpio has a lot to do with psychology too, so it's revealing that there. And because it also has to do with the supernatural and metaphysics, and with Neptune in Pisces of all, in its own sign in retrograde, it's really, it's kind of amping up the supernatural connections of things too. You might be seeing more signs and more synchronicities if you're paying attention. And if you are, they can help lead you out of the funhouse where you can sit on the bench and go, whoo, wow, that was almost like a roller coaster, right? Hold on to your stomach. All right, so I'm going to move on to the cards. Please, by all means, if you have questions specifically about the astrology going on right now, let me know. I'm just doing my best as a mediocre astrologer to keep you updated as to what's going on there. Now, what we have here first, we have the Knight of the Knight of Wands in reverse, the Six of Pentacles, and the Four of Swords. Now, interestingly enough, all of these are about power dynamics. The Six of Pentacles in particular is, I somebody referred to it once as like the Dom sub card, and I can see it in there. I really can see it in that, and it really, it's for me it's a mixture between that and kind of a Robin Hood card. It can very much have to do with codependency. It's supposed to be about going back into seeking spiritual assistance, but it's not. We see two beggars in the card and somebody who has money deciding who is more worthy of getting this, and So there might be a fair amount of that energy is like, who is worthy of my time and attention? Who is worthy of my resources? Or even at that level, it can be, especially with the Knight of Wands reversed, it can be a lot more to do with being upset at how much we are giving of our emotional, financial, and physical resources and finding that we just need to keep giving more and more and more. The other pattern in these three cards is narcissism. And remember that not all narcissism is bad. We all need a little bit of it for self love. And you could see that in this, which is about, in upright, it's mostly about prayer and being restful and having healthy boundaries. And it's only a four. Like, you don't need to have like super, super strong boundaries, but have enough for stability, and don't be afraid to rest and put your hands in prayer and just kind of be amused with the absurdity of life sometimes, because that's just sometimes how it is. And this, like I said earlier, this to me really calls to, if those around you are in the funhouse mirrors and they're feeling pulled in by the karmic carnival, it can feel very difficult, especially if you're a very kind person and or you've been dealing with healing your own codependency or attachment challenges, to not help. But there are many times in life when not helping is helping. That is the love, that is the kindness. And this card is definitely one of those. And it's also a card of reflection. So be extra aware of those coming into your vibration, even if they don't trigger you a lot. Any amount of trigger is for you to either check and see, am I still really pulled in by that? Does it really spin me out? Does it provide a funhouse mirror that I'm really tripped out by? Or is it just kind of a cobweb in the corner that's like, okay, ouch, it hurt a little bit, but I'm okay, and it's not changed anything, you know? And also be careful, because some people can pretend to be in this place of being, I almost see like some people pretending to be asleep when they're not. And trying to give the image of being like a prayerful spiritual person when they're not. But because this card is an upright, I'm not seeing that that is a really big theme. It just might be that either you are kind of taking an observational approach to things for the next week, or you should be, or it could be that you're noticing others around you doing that, especially if you're used to having your tribe like really available to you. Um, Now, with the Knight of Wands in reverse, I mean, that one speaks to boundaries also. And especially arguments, fiery words, sexual frustrations, things of that nature. It's an immature energy for sure. It's better. It's more mature than the Knight of Wands, or than the Page of Wands, but not as mature as the King of Wands. And of all the suits in the deck, the Wands are the most immature. And it also speaks to delays, which fits in with the Mercury retrograde and with having the Six of Pentacles in there, which is a very Virgo card. That really speaks to me as fitting in with a kind of this love energy. And because we have the Knight of Wands on one side and the Four of Wands on the other side with the Six of Pentacles in the middle, what I'm really kind of getting the sense of is that for a lot of us, there's a choice happening. And like on one side, we kind of have this fiery, reactive, passionate, like infuriating situation where we're constantly having delays and arguments and things like that. Oh, there's a baby bunny over there. Oh, there may be some things with fertility going on there. And then on the other side, we have kind of this grounded, restful energy, but it is swords. Um, excuse me, I need to correct that. The wands are the second most mature. The swords are the most immature of the deck. Not that they're immature, it's just in that order of there. But the Four of Swords is a restfulness, a prayerfulness, a need, a not even a need, a desire to go inward and to reflect on what has been going on around us. And so we're all kind of being given that choice, and the scales are in there. That's very Libra too. It's like, what do you choose? Do you choose the environment and the people that you feel fiery and reactive around. Where in fact I'm getting the image that a lot of accidents probably happen, and there's been a lot of like collectively around. There's been a lot of energy of like getting sick. Having like physical accidents, work accidents, even there could even be like aggressive fighting in the home with some situations, or at least the thought of it, because Venus and Virgo can often have us like feeling like there is a bigger threat than there really is. It can really amp up relationship anxieties. But the choice is, are you going to fight? Are you going to keep trying to rush when we've got Mercury retrograde, Uranus or Uranus retrograde, and all this stuff going on? We're going to keep trying to force it, or are we going to rest and just have faith and just kind of go to our inner prayer garden and say, this is an interesting time, isn't it? Next, we have the homophone cards. I really like these. Now, interestingly enough, we have pause in reverse. We have scent in reverse. And I like that the word scent is red, like not one red scent. And then we have 8 in upright. And just noticing on the penny, it's marked the year 2018. So maybe there's something that happened in 2018 that may be playing a part in what's happening right now. Or it could be the High Priestess and the Moon card, which today is the 18th, another Moon card there, as well as the number 11, Justice, Libra energy, and Karmic energy. It's in reverse too. With the pause in reverse, I generally like to think of the pause as like a playfulness, and it's dog's pause, and so like loyalty, friendship, things like that. And it's in reverse, so it may be that during this week we are really seeing kind of seeing who really our friends are, who's really loyal to us. And in upright, I mean, it's kind of a sweetness, like, oh, look at those cute paws, right? But in reverse, it's like removing that sweetness. And it could be that spirit is removing the sweetness of those around us who maybe we're not that sweet genuinely. Um, And I mean, I'm assuming there's probably going to be some financial stagnancy, which is not uncommon with Mercury retrograde. And the 8, I mean, I'm really feeling called the Enneagram type 8, and even though it's an upright, I'm getting the sense that it's both the evolved Enneagram type 8 and the unevolved, which, if you've been doing your healing work, you're probably finding a lot of people being called to you. And this is you're any type, but like I think the energy of this is coming out. And if you've been doing your work, you're probably feeling more of a playfulness. And if it's a 8 ball or like a magic 8 ball or an 8 ball from a pool billiards game, then you're probably kind of having fun despite the world being in a really weird place right now. And you might find that others are coming to you, both well karmic and divine, and in all sorts of stages of their own funhouse mirrors, trying to get healing, trying to get direction, especially if you think of it as a magic 8 ball. Like, what do I do? And all the only thing that seems to keep coming up is try again later. The answer is unclear. And it might feel sometimes like that's all people are communicating to us right now. Like, I'm sorry, try again later. Um, we might have to communicate that with some people for that matter. But I do get the sense, though, that on the other side of that too is a bit of vengefulness and aggression and the need to win and be in control. And also, because the 8 is connected to the infinity symbol, I have a feeling that from now until the 25th, especially as we get closer to the 21st, that we're going to see kind of like spirit's going to make it more apparent who we have eternal connections with, like um, uh, soulmates and twin flames and things like that. The really important connections, the ones that cannot cannot be broken by the typical, I don't know, the typical stuff. Like, spirit, it's the infinity symbol to me is one of spirits, like a Ross, which reminds me, I've been seeing a lot of images related to, I want to say like Harry Potter stuff, but it seems more to do with the dynamics between light and dark, which I know that I mentioned in I think the last reading I did for the next 48. And then it started coming up. It was interesting to talk about that and then see it come out. And also Cerberus, the dog that's in I believe it's the first one, Sorcerer's Stone, the three-headed dog. Now that traditionally is the dog that guards the gates to hell or Tartarus. And so there's probably some dynamics going on where we are dealing with the positive and negative aspects of guardianship. It could be directly with parenting. It could be a dynamic with those that we want to feel protected by or that we feel we need protection from, things like that. And spirit could also be revealing to us how we're being overprotective. Like, do you really need a giant three-headed dog to protect that? I don't know. I mean, even in the Harry Potter movie, once you knew that you could put it to sleep with music, it was rendered useless, and that Cerberus could definitely represent the internal and external dynamics that we have with power and control, which Scorpio and Pluto in the skies, or Scorpio and Pluto, Saturn and Pluto are playing out right now and bringing out in us. Um, it's interesting too because being the scent, I mean, we have in God we trust, and whether you're fellow pagan or you follow more mainstream religion, that's in spirit we trust. And liberty is another word on there. And so I'm getting the sense that that is also very related to Libra too, but I'm getting the sense, right, that there's been some dynamics that many of us have been wrapped up into that have to do with finances. And we've gotten ourselves so thoroughly caught up in it that there isn't an easy answer in terms of just go or just stay. And what we're not doing is trusting in spirit when we need to be doing that. Like, especially when things are hard, especially when we want to go, but we really need to stay and face it. Or especially when we need to give space when we want to face it and we want to make it happen right now. Like I have a feeling that there's going to be that dichotomy in there still of those who are facing it and having faith in spirit, and those who are not having faith in spirit and not having faith in their partners or anyone around them, kind of trying to force their way. And a lot of it is going to manifest in material ways. I really get the feeling too that there's going to be some arguments that include the not one red cent. Like, I'm not giving you a dime, or I'm not spending a dime on that, or something. Like, I don't know exactly. You'll have to tell me. Again, it's interesting that Spirit had me pull like three of each of these cards because I didn't think about it, but it very much is very Libra, very scales. Like, even with the homophone cards we see on one side, dealing with issues of fake sweetness, maybe some love bombing. It could have to do with animals too, disloyalty, negative aspects of friendship, and then on the other side of that penny, that cent, is strength and character and stability and a bit of dominance in there, but in a healthy way. So let's see. Next, I have my shamanic cards. Now, we have the tree people, and that's sustenance. And we have shapeshifter, not surprised with the Scorpio energy, or the karmic carnival, and that's perspective. And we have vision quest, seek. Now, see what I mean too about if you take the cards as three, and it's like on either side, what do we have, right? And on one side of the shapeshifter, on one side of the perspective, we have tree people and sustenance. It's green. There's a lot of heart chakra issues. It's a lot of nature and things like that. And on the other side, we have vision quest about seeking answers. And tree people gives me the sense of like community and boundaries. But if you look at the image, even like the trees are very tangled up. There's really not a clear path in or out. There's not even clear shapes. And look, I didn't even see that before. We have an owl up there too, which means that wisdom is needed and predators are near. Also clarity. And if you look at if you look at the face on the tree, right? It does not look like a very happy tree, you know? Um, and then to look at the Vision Quest card, what do we have? We have more solar plexus, like personal power stuff, and sacral chakra, root chakra. There's really not a whole ton going on in that card, right? Really not, there's really not a whole ton. And I mean, you know, if we're looking at how these cards line up, this would line up with this and with this, right? Stability, femininity. Also, the infinity symbol it is a feminine symbol. It's receptivity, like just going with the flow, recognizing the cycles and things like that, you know. And then if we take the pause, the tree people, and the Knight of Wands reversed, look at that. We have a lot of wand energy. Oh, sorry, like this. A lot of wand energy. And it's not fun. It's not sweet. There's probably a lot of hidden enemies in there, you know, in the forest that we're going through. And really, we could be asking the tree people for if we're stuck in the funhouse mirrors, you know, we can give it to the trees and stuff like that. But really, it's kind of just a tangled web. And in the middle here is your perspective. And interestingly enough, when it comes to manifesting things, including emotional security, perspective is everything. When you are faced with a challenge, do you fear it? Do you run from it? Or do you, you know, like if you're triggered, do you look at that as somebody hurting or attacking you? Or do you look at it as a moment to look at your own reflection and say, what is it within me that could use some healing that could either remedy the situation or create a new situation or prevent me from jumping from the frying pan into the fryer? You know? And there is a fair amount of that energy. Be extra careful, especially if you find yourself potentially wrapped up with court energies or you want to make major life changes and things like that. Doing that during a Mercury retrograde is not a good idea. And especially with so many planets being retrograde. It's an interesting sound. I don't know if one of those little bunnies came in here or not. In any case, shapeshifters also, you know, I think the Scorpio energy is really revealing to us who have been kind of like trickster beings around us. People who may have been putting on an image of confidence are now showing, you know, control issues, weakness, cowardice, things like that, or reactivity. And those who may have been insecure before and revealed themselves to have appeared that way, who've worked on things, may now be seeming very oddly calm while it feels like everything else is falling apart. Either way, just be aware because there is that trickster energy, you know, and during Mercury retrogrades, fights can happen really, really easily. Delays, um, transportation problems, money problems, physical accidents, exes can come back in, and that's not just romantic ones. It can be ex-friends, things of that nature. There's lots of things that can come up, and we are definitely in a carnival of sorts with all the extra oomph of energy we have, especially with the blue moon coming up next week. Now, trying not to make this overly long, but it is a week-long reading, so I hope that it goes well. Now I'm gonna be reading from my new deck, the I love this Divine Circus, which I really, really like. And these cards, I've seen one of them before in terms of reading the thing, but I haven't gotten through all these cards yet. And it's very interesting to see what they come up. And if you have a chance to comment below and let me know if one of the cards really called to you, or if all of them did, or just two of them. Now, I want to show them to you first and give you my interpretation, and then we'll see what they say inside. Now, first we have the juggler. Interesting masculine energy here. And just to point out, we have the juggler, we have Lady Luck, and we have her wicked ways. So we have one masculine energy, and then Lady Luck and her wicked ways. And actually, yeah, I think I laid them out incorrectly. I'm putting the juggler in the middle of the two of those. Um, hmm. Yeah, and I guess we'll still go with him first in description, though. But, I mean, look at this guy, right? He looks like a combination between somebody who is, I want to say innocently enough, just trying to not lose his balls, and somebody who is intentionally trying to juggle various situations kind of in a narcissistic sort of way, like trying to have his cake and eat it too. He's definitely got a lot of root chakra stuff going on around him. And he's got a lot of gold bedazzled around him, so this might be masculine figures, again, with some, financial challenges or misunderstandings about materialism equaling happiness. And with stripes, something tells me it's much like well, it's like stripes and stars, which is kind of fitting of the billiards thing of the eight ball, but also like I can't remember it. There's a saying. It's kind of like showing your true colors, but like showing your stripes or tiger stripes. It might be a little bit of camouflage too. Although because he sticks out so much against that backdrop like that, it may be that those who've been wearing tiger stripes amongst you and trying to play them off as zebra stripes are going to be revealed to you. Now, on the left, then, no, see, that would go differently. I'm going to line them up. I know I don't typically do that, but considering the way that the rest of the energies were, the Her Wicked Ways goes a lot more with the Tree People, the reverse Knight of Wands, and the reverse Paws and things like that. So we have Her Wicked Ways. Now, what does she look like to you? She looks like she's in a very cold place, and yet she looks very comfortable in that cold place. Like she doesn't look cold. She's got her accoutrements, a very almost, I would say, ancestral looking brooch. She's number 19, which is the Sun card, interestingly enough, kind of interesting for her wicked ways. And for such a cold card, but I have a sense that this is probably um, karmic energy that actually helps us get to the Sun card type energy. And 19 then equals 10 and 1, which is the Wheel of Fortune and the Fool. So once we get to that place, sometimes we don't even need to go to the 21st card. We just start over as the Fool again. Like we learn a lesson. We go through karmic cycles in that way. And the juggler, for those who want to know, its card is 30. Which the interesting thing is that breaking that down to three is the Empress. So, and I would say, I mean, he does look kind of effeminate. So maybe, maybe a good aspect of the juggler is being able to balance between our masculine and feminine energies, which very much fits up with a lot of the Scorpio Libra energy going on. And especially with the coming cusp on the 21st, which I know is some sort of portal. Maybe we'll call it the portal of the juggler or the portal of scales. I don't know. Now, the last one that we have here, Lady Luck, which in the way that I've moved them, it definitely fits with the theme, doesn't it? And she looks pretty calm, right? I mean, she's in the dark, but she doesn't. I mean, she doesn't appear to be hiding. There's a lot of stars in this card, which could be related to the star card. And also, I'm getting a sense of kind of that hermit energy on there. And in the hermit card, in his lantern, is the star. And her card says 50. I don't know if we can see the lights kind of weird, but it says 50 up there. And interestingly enough, it's card 41, so that they both equal 5, which is change, instability, mastery, research, and also when you add them together, you get 10, the Wheel of Fortune, which is very fitting for Lady Luck, like something like that. So it may be that if you get into being more grounded and you are not so freaked out by either your funhouse mirrors or other people's funhouse mirrors, that maybe luck be the lady for you tonight. You never know. I'm also getting the sense that because we have masculine energy in the middle, which does fit with the other cards too, and two feminine energies on the outside. There is likely to be, I mean, if you identify as feminine, it is likely that you are having some sort of interactions with a masculine who is either triangulating you with another feminine, or a feminine that is triangulating you with a masculine, or some sort of triangulation. The threes are in there. And we are the Libra new moon that we had was the second of three consecutive super new moons in a row that rarely happen. And I'm hearing an eagle screech outside, so that's very interesting. Messages from above, and it, let's see, that's three times that it's screeched so far. We'll see if it at four times. Okay. We'll see what goes on from that. It's something is calling. Can you hear it? And will you take the call? Hmm. Will you take the call in the karmic carnival? Now let's see what the book has to say. Interesting. 1930 and 41. All right. Her wicked ways. Number 19. Let's see. You are meant to shine bright, to be a sun even in the cold and dark depths of winter, bringing warmth to the world. Some don't like the light. They want to freeze your enthusiasm, douse your creative fire, and rain on your parade. Thanks, Mercury. Don't let them. Shine your light with stubbornness and happiness. Defeat the Snow Queen and her wicked ways. The Snow Queen depicted on this card has her wicked ways. She likes to test those that aren't yet sure of their worth. She will try to freeze you with a glance that conveys criticism, judgment, and ridicule. She'll make you believe you'll be humiliated, that it's inevitable you'll fail, and so better that you just don't try to begin with. She'll plant seeds of doubt like a weed in your soul garden and cause you to lose energy to mental anguish. You'll find the way you'll find the way of your life more difficult than it needs to be if you don't take heed of what's happening and use your power to stand up to her. The Snow Queen might take her presence might make her presence felt through a loved one who cannot support you, or a colleague who is envious of you and wants to see you fall, or the voice in your head that is afraid and is yet to really trust your heart to lead you. No matter where she arises, there is only one way for you to deal with the Snow Queen and her wicked ways. When she tries to freeze you with the glance and says, "Who do you think you are?" You must stand up tall and true and reply, "I am me, save your soul slaying, doubt making for another day. I take my own hand, freed from your icy grasp. If you stay anywhere near me, I'll melt you with my creative fire and the warmth of my love. So be gone, wicked one. It's time for you to move on." Which is interesting in that it now lines up with the Knight of Wands in reverse, right? It says a healing trick and an affirmation. I haven't been reading these in past times, but I'll do it. It's a longer reading. Hold out your hand for at least 10 seconds and feel it, then say aloud, "Here's what I say to soul slaying, doubt creating mischief makers. Be gone from me for now and always. I choose to live another way, with love and trust and self belief. I am on my path daily, and that brings me peace." And then, if you need to, give yourself a hug and say, "I love you. You are doing a great job. You can keep going because it's just going to get better and better," which it is. It's trust it. The affirmation is, "I take my own hand with inner confidence. I do what I need to do. Shining bright like the sun, I bring the warmth of love and creative fire into the world." Which is interesting, being the 19th card and related to the sun card, right? Now we have 30. Let's see. Yeah, number 30, the juggler. Many projects in the air, aspirations and inspirations everywhere. Action to take, commitments to make, and yet another will soon join the fray. Say yes, do not delay. It will all work out in the perfect way. Interesting. You are capable of many things, and you are too important an asset to the plan of love on this planet to be left idle. So life, the universe, and your own creative urges will ask a lot of you. There will be many inspirations, ideas, and dreams that you will yearn to bring to life in the world. You may wonder if it's all a bit too much for any one person to handle. You may feel you are juggling so much already that if even one more demand or idea comes through, you'll drop the balls already in the air and the whole damn thing will come undone. The juggler is the master multitasker. He brings the skills, wisdom, and tricks you need to not only successfully bring to life all of your current dreams and ideals, but to be open to even more flowing through you. How can you do this without getting overwhelmed? How can you do this without becoming drained or exhausted? How can you do this without getting stuck in fantasy and failing to really launch, ground, and build each idea in the physical world, going through the rigors of a dream and turning it into reality? He has the inside track. He knows three tricks on how to make this work. First, if you are overwhelmed, you are letting yourself get ahead of yourself, allowing your mind to move too far into the future. Bring it back to now, to just what can be done now. Let tomorrow take care of itself. Secondly, prioritize. What do you need to do most today and what can be left until later? And thirdly, remember that the divine circus is a troupe, a group filled with solo performers, but it is with their efforts combined that magic is created. So ask for help and remember that your individual success is actually part of the greater group success. The universe wants you to succeed. It will keep an eye on the pots on the boil whilst you stir the one that is bubbling over now. The juggler lets you know that you are going to manage all that is going on in your life if you remember to stay present and relax. Deal with what is immediately happening and not worry about any other distractions. The more you do this, the more juggling skills will improve. The more your juggling skills will improve. You'll not only handle all that is currently going on, but when another opportunity heads your way, you'll add it to the mix with grace rather than ending up with egg all over your face. Yes, I'm going to save that there. Lady Luck, 41. All right. Lady Luck is on your side. A change of fortune is in store for you. A twist of fate that is meant to be. You're a winner, baby. You are about to hit the jackpot. Do you think that luck is something that only happens to other luckier people? Your attitude can attract luck to your side, no matter if you once thought you were the unluckiest person alive. Luck is attracted to a certain type of consciousness, an attitude, a belief that life wants to help you, and has the infinite power and creative imagination to do so in endless ways. Attracting luck means being open to the genius of life, which works itself out perfectly, bringing benefits to us again and again, even if we have no clue how, where, or why it operates the way it does. When Lady Luck appears, you are being given a golden ticket, a lucky break, a change in fortune that was always meant to be for you, that was in your stars. You can turn this lucky break into a lucky streak that stays with you for a long, long time. I'm hearing a flock of geese outside, which is very interesting. Um, you might want to look up that totem too. It might be helpful. It's related to the sign of Capricorn too. So. You can turn this lucky break into a lucky streak that stays with you for a long, long time or even forever with your attitude, your belief in the goodness of life, and the generosity of your spirit. Feel the thrill and gratitude, the joy of being a winner, and thank the universe for it with following affirmations every day. Luck will visit you soon and it will love being around you so much that it decides to stay. Hmm. And while I was reading that, I was also getting the sense I'm going to lay out the cards the way that they were with each other because I'm actually getting the sense that we're, I want to say that we're all kind of on the scales. And if we've done less shadow work, then that side is heavier right now. If we've done more shadow work, then that side is lighter right now, and we're more on that. But I also have the feeling that we're going in kind of a weird roundabout way, ascending to each one. So especially if you take the bull by the horns at this point and own your BS. Like seriously, especially with all the Scorpio stuff, own your BS. Be accountable. In fact, if you try to force anything without like stepping back and saying this is mine to own and this is where I need to heal and correct things, you're likely to see more and more bad karma coming towards you. Even if others are doing things to you that are unfair or unjust, if you're not owning your own reflection in it, you're probably going to keep being stuck juggling. But I have a feeling that most of you, especially those who are checking out this reading are actually, if you feel like you're in the funhouse mirrors and it's not fun, you're going to go in that order. And first you need to face down the ice queen, the snow queen, whether that's the voice inside your head or mother issues or a physical person in your environment, which doesn't have to be female. They could just be in karmic feminine energy for that matter, but there is some challenges with femininity in there. And really look at where are you being receptive to things, and where are you flowing, and then where are you trying to force it in masculine energy. And this energy is helping to reveal to you who the tricksters are, who, and where you're juggling appropriately, inappropriately, where you're letting anxiety get you ahead of the present moment, or trying to do too many things at one time. And I see this kind of ascending order though, and especially if you take heed on videos like this and you start to work on it, that you might go from an uncomfortable spin in the funhouse to a vision quest, to seeking new information, to seeing things in new ways, to feeling lucky, you know? And since all of that is within this week's energy, I suppose that's mostly what I'm predicting for all signs to some degree, is that there are going to be some people who do not come out of this cycle completely done with their karmic cycles for the year, but definitely much closer. But I have a feeling that a lot of us are going to be completely free of old karmic cycles, and ways that we've held ourselves back, or given when we should have withheld or had better boundaries, things like that, and having a little bit of fun. I have a feeling it's going to come up um, just in time for Halloween. So, trick or treat. Anyways, thanks for watching, liking, sharing, all that stuff. And I'm going to try to do some individual sign readings too. And I'll see you in the next video.